Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Metabolism and Menopause podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I'm your host and CEO of Vitality OET. We are a women's nutrition, health, and fitness company that focuses predominantly on women's hormones, particularly as they start going through perimenopause and onwards. We know that you start experiencing so many changes in this time in your life, whether it be hot flashes, night sweats, irritability, brain fog, or weight gain around the middle. That seems to have come out of absolutely nowhere, despite you not changing anything. So you go back to those tried and true methods of cutting calories, cutting carbs, doing a bunch of cardio, yet nothing seems to be working. It feels like you're putting in all this effort and you're just moving backwards. But we know now that your body is inherently different, not you've gone through these hormonal changes. So our mission here at Vitality is to really help you understand how your body changes in this time in your life, so you can reach those health and fitness goals, feel in control and at home in your body, live a life full of vitality, and really understand how to take care of this new body of yours. So today, I want to talk about why your fat loss efforts aren't paying off, why you are feeling like you're putting in all this effort and nothing is working. And this is a message that I think everybody needs to hear, whether they're, putting this in their health and fitness journey or other areas of their life as well. Because this podcast is a little bit of a tough love reality check type stuff, okay? I first and foremost always want to say that there is always a solution to where you want to be, to what you want to look like, to how you want to feel. How do we know that? Like, Steph, how do you know that it's possible for me? Look around you. There are people achieving what you want to achieve who are in similar circumstances as you, and they are doing it, right? So that first of all means that it is in fact possible, okay? So everyone's way of getting to things is going to be a little bit different, right? But there is proof that it is possible because there are people who are doing it and they're sustaining it. It's not unrealistic. It's not these crazy crash diets and losing a bunch of weight and gaining it back and losing weight and gaining it back. There are people who have achieved this. So therefore, it is in fact possible. If you think it is not possible, that is your very first problem. If you don't think it's going to work, then it's probably not going to, right? Because when you think that way, your brain is programmed to just keep showing you proof that of all the reasons why this will not work. That is just how our brain works. Okay, so if you think it will work, then your brain is going to show you proof that, hey, this is working. So tell me this, if you had a constant movie playing in your head that is showing you a highlight reel of all the bad things, would you be in a bad mood? Yes. Would you be motivated to do the things? No. Would you constantly be doubting yourself and your abilities? Yes. Now, if you had a movie in your brain that was showing you all the wins that you are actually achieving, the things that you are actually doing that are showing that you are progressing in the right direction, how would that affect your mood? You would probably be significantly better, right? You would be happier, more optimistic. You would likely be feeling a little bit more motivation and actually be aware of the positive changes. Would that be encouraging to keep you going? Yes, right? And so the thing is, you have failed a lot of times, right? You've tried multiple things, it's not working anymore, you're frustrated. And so then when you start doing the next thing, because you failed so many times in the past, you keep thinking, this isn't going to work just like last time. This isn't going to work because this happened in the past. But you keep living in the past. So that if you keep thinking about it and living it, it's just going to keep happening and happening and happening because you are self-sabotaging. You're almost fulfilling this self-prophecy of failure. So that's all you focus on. For example, you're thinking about buying a red car. All of a sudden you see red cars everywhere. You are so much more aware of it, right? This is just how this works too. If you are constantly thinking about how this isn't going to work, or it's taking too long, or I'm failing, or I'm not there yet, you're just going to get proof over and over and over again. Your brain becomes hyper aware of this. And then you start living in this life of I want to avoid that failure again, but you keep thinking about it, and it's inevitably going to happen. Right? So you can hear my baby crying in the background. That's okay. He's okay. I promise you. There's someone watching him right now. So thank you for that. So your brain is just going to keep showing you things of what you are looking for. And then you're constantly living in this state of fear and avoidance that I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. That's a terrible place to live in. Whereas if you're oh man, my energy's getting better. my energy's getting better. My energy's getting better. And then, oh, my sleep is getting better. Oh, I'm getting healthier. And like your brain starts showing you and making you more aware of all of these things that are in fact improving. That's a totally different state. You are like optimistic. You are looking into the future, right? Like you are forward thinking as opposed to living in the past and in fear and in avoidance. One will lead you to success, the other will not, right? So why are you doing this to yourselves? You are literally making yourself miserable. And yes, you're like, well, I'm not there yet. Yes, and that's hard, but you are making it harder by constantly living in this negative emotional state. So we need to start working on our mindset a little bit here. So back to the solution part. We know there's a solution out there. However, many of us are actually not willing to do the right work to get there. And you're like, no. I am. I'm willing to do anything. I'm willing to do anything. No, reality is most of us are not, right? And for example, I was talking to someone and it's like, I don't think it's fair that I have to lift heavy in order to put on muscle because I can't, or I don't want to, or I don't enjoy it, or I don't want to take the time to learn how to lift weights. I'm afraid. I don't have the time. I'm intimidated. The list goes on and on and on for all the reasons that you can't / won't or are not willing to lift heavy, right? So, and while all those things can very much be true, you may feel intimidated. You may feel nervous. You might not enjoy it. You might not like it. You might not want to dedicate that time. It does not change the fact that in order for your body to build muscle and get toned, it is not possible without proper resistance training, no matter how unfair you feel that is, or, oh, there must be another way. There is not. Like a way for you to build on muscle has to be through proper resistance training. Are you willing to do that? Yes or no? And that's really what comes down to, right? And then you also think like, well, with all the effort that I'm putting in and I'm following these YouTube workouts, I should be getting better results because I'm putting in a lot of effort, right? We think this, right? Like I am putting in so much effort on these YouTube videos. I am putting so much effort in the exercises that I'm doing. I'm getting so sweaty. I deserve these results because you are sweaty afterwards, right? You are tired afterwards. So you think, therefore, I deserve to see better results because I am tired and I put in a lot of effort. Well, here is a not so fun slap to the face reality check that sucks to hear that everybody needs to hear. Effort does not equal results. And you might be like, oh, Stephanie, what are you talking about? No. You're thinking about your perceived effort. I feel, right? Your body doesn't care if you feel like you're trying harder. It only responds to what you are doing and if your effort is in the right things, right? So this is like, okay, I'm putting in all this effort, like training to run faster. But what if your training isn't actually what's going to get you to run faster? You're doing the wrong kind of training. So I'm trying to sprint faster, but all I'm doing is cycling. I'm doing sprints on the bike. That's not going to get me as good as efforts as actually practicing sprinting on the ground because there's specificity, right? What you need to achieve requires specific actions in order to get the best results. So you're over here cycling when you should be running. That's just an example. That's not what you need to do, but like example. Or you're like, I'm going to get really athletic, but you're playing video games. Is doing video games going to naturally make you more athletic? So you're playing sports video games, or are you physically practicing? Right? It's your perceived effort, or you're trying to save money, right? I want to be a millionaire. Oh, I'm trying so hard. I feel like I'm cutting out like my coffees. I feel like I'm not doing this. I feel like I'm not doing that. But your bank account still tells me you're not saving. So you have all this perceived effort of all this stuff that you're giving up or you're trying really hard, but it's not the thing you need to do to get to where you want to be, right? I know that sounds kind of funny, but it's the truth. But yet we're so not willing to change what we're doing to get the results. So again, your body does not care if you feel like you are putting in a ton of effort. It is only going to respond if you're putting in the right amount of effort at the right time in the right things. So we need to learn to be patient. We need to learn to stop getting so freaking frustrated because you can't speed up the process. You need to be more consistent. Okay? Consistency times time equals results. The less consistent that you are, the more time you're going to need to reach that result, right? The more consistent you are, the less time you need to reach that result. Okay? So you can't hack that. You literally cannot change that. Those are the facts. And the reality of the situation is that you likely do not like the process of what it's going to take to get you to where you want to be. You keep looking for shortcuts because you do not like it or you do not want to do it that way. I don't want to have to eat more to improve my metabolism in order to be able to then lose weight. I just want to lose weight now. Cool, it doesn't work that way. You might not like that, but that's not how it works. Find me another way. You've been trying and it's not working, right? So you keep looking for shortcuts because you do not like it or you do not want to do it, quote unquote, that way. So for example, not eating breakfast is going to be easier, right, than having to plan a protein forward breakfast, correct? That is going to take some time to plan, right? You have to ensure you have the groceries, you have some prep, you actually have to sit down and eat the food, right? You need to do that. But is it easier to do that than being miserable? Is it easier to do that than not lose the weight? Is it easier to do that than not have energy in the afternoon and be trying to fight your cravings and having your, brain fog in the afternoon? Is that easier than getting the news that you're pre-diabetic? So right now you feel like skipping breakfast is easier, but is the prepping and planning and eating a good breakfast easier than dealing with pre-diabetes and, blood sugar control issues and the weight gain and being tired and the cravings? I don't know. You have to tell me. Is taking that 15 minutes once a week to plan out what you're going to have for breakfast and then make sure you have the extra 3 minutes to purchase all the groceries at the grocery store when you're already there anyways, too much of an effort to get the result that you want and avoid all the struggles that I just listed? Is taking 20 minutes to make a breakfast every day and eat it too much effort compared to the skipping breakfast? Yes. Compared to the negative side effects that are going to come down the road? You tell me. For some people, they might not care that much. That's fine. But you're so focused on it's easier than doing this right now. Yeah, but is it easier than the negative consequences that come down the road? You tell me. You tell me. Is it hard? Is it easier to not worry about saving for retirement until you're closer for retirement? Yes, absolutely. But then is it harder to realize you get to 60 and you can't retire? You tell me, right? There's all the trade-offs. When it comes down to it, there are no shortcuts. There is a solution to every problem, but you are not always going to like it, and it is going to require some aspect of sacrifice and time, right? Did I like planning my meals for the week and getting groceries to prep food? No. But now it's become second nature because I've been consistent with it for so long. I've practiced. I've failed multiple times, and I'm not perfect all the time. That's not realistic. Right? There's going to be weeks where it doesn't happen. But over 80% of the time, I am doing that. It is second nature. It does not take me much time now. I don't even have to think about breakfast anymore because I have the 5 things that I eat and I rotate through. I always make sure I have those groceries, and it now becomes mindless and takes a lot less effort because it doesn't take as much brain power because I've done it so many times. Think about when you're learning to drive a car. The first time you're learning to drive a car, it takes a lot of energy, brain power, right? You're like thinking and looking and like figuring everything out. Now, sometimes you get in a car and you drive somewhere and you're like, I don't even know how I got here. Mindless. This is how this stuff will become for you, but you have to be willing to take the time to do it, right? It only happens through continuous repetition, okay? And then over time, it requires less effort, less brain power. Same with tracking. The first time you're tracking food, Very overwhelming. You're learning how to use the app. You don't really understand. You're plugging things in. You don't know how to reach your goals. You don't know how to set yourself up for success, right? It's just all very overwhelming. But now as you do it, women in our program, tracking takes no time. They do 10 minutes in the morning. They pre-track all their day. They hit their targets super easy. Leave room for fluctuations for if they're going to go out for dinner and things like that. So they still have the flexibility to enjoy the life that they want to enjoy, the foods that they want to enjoy, the outings they want to enjoy. That's not how it was when they first started, but now it's second nature. It's easy. It's simple. They're consistent. They're getting their results, which requires less effort. It is now easier, but they didn't want to do it at first, right? There is always going to be a trade-off. You're going to have to take some form of leisure time or easy time to dedicate towards that habit building, to planning, to working out. The solution is usually something that's going to be slightly outside your comfort zone or things you have not done before. And we know that what you're doing right now is not working. Otherwise, you would not be following me on socials. You would not be listening to my podcast, right? Like you would not keep searching and Googling because you know what you were doing is not working. Your past strategies no longer work. Okay? This means you need to take a new approach, a new frame of mind, and likely different people too, which is very uncomfortable. So let's dive up into this. When I want to level up, when I want to grow, when I want to become better, a healthier version of myself, a better version of myself, I find new circles and pursue new education because I don't know what I don't know. I've learned what I can from where I am right now, and now I need to move up. Simple, right? This is why you graduate in school. You learned all the things you could learn in that grade. Now you move on to the next one. Same thing. And again, like I said, what will work, you may not like. And most of the time you don't. It might not be fun. It probably won't. Because if you loved it already, you'd already be doing it. So instead, you're just avoiding it because you don't really want to change your routine and your habit, but you want these different results. But nothing changes if nothing changes. So let's give you an example of when I first started going to the gym. I was in university. I was trading time to go to the gym and money for the membership instead of putting that money away towards fun stuff like going to a bar with friends, partying. I could be doing so many other things, studying, hanging out with friends, socializing. I did not have a big group of friends in university. I worked out, I worked, I studied. That was my life. I didn't go to a bar until like 4 years after I was legal age. Like, that's how fun I was, you guys. I was like one of those people, those young people were like, oh, you're so wise, which is like the nice way of being like, oh, like you don't really fit in with your friends and you're not very social. Like that was me. That was me. Okay. So I could have been spending my time and money on literally anything else. And when I went to the gym, I was super uncomfortable at first. I did not like it at all. I felt like everyone was looking at me. When in fact, everyone's just checking themselves out in the mirror. No one cares about you, literally. Or they're on their phones, right? That's what you see at the gym now. But I was terrified of gaining the freshman 15 pounds. I did not want to gain that weight. I was so scared. I did not want to be part of that statistic. I did not want that. And then eventually over time, I did start to enjoy it. It became part of my routine so much that I ended up becoming a personal trainer. Right? And when I first started, I started on the cardio machines, which did nothing for me. Then I started doing some fitness classes to learn some of the movements. Then I got my training certification, started lifting in the gym, then started working there. And then it became a place that I went to all of the time. Right? And I still now go through seasons where I do not like going to the gym because I would much rather spend my time doing something else. But I do it now because I want to set myself up for a smooth transition for perimenopause, menopause. Right? I'm in that age where things can really start changing, right? You all know this. So I'm not going to wait until I am struggling enough to make that change. I am starting now. I am trading time and money and effort now to avoid being forced to trade my time, money, and effort now to deal with my poor health and my poor mental health. Because I don't want to do that. You have to think further enough down the road as to what you want your life to look like. Let's start proactively doing that now. And I think that's where a lot of people fail. They're so focused on the right now, right now. What happens if you keep doing what you're doing 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the line? What kind of life do you want to live? Right? Because probably what you're doing right now isn't actually going to help you get there. Right? So it is uncomfortable and I'm not motivated all the time, which is why one key thing to help you make sure that the effort you do put in is in the right direction, because you're not always going to be motivated. You're not always going to have a bunch of time, right? So like you need to make sure that the effort you do put in is the right kind of effort on the right things that actually get you to where you want to be. Because let's say you're digging a hole to China and you're off by just like 5 degrees. The further path you go along that, the further you go along on that journey, you're going to see that 5 degrees, like you end up going further and further and further apart. So you want to be up here and you're all the way over here. And now you have a bigger distance from one point to the next to get to where you thought you would be and where you want to be versus to where you would have been if you just would have focused all your effort in the right place in the first place, right? That little degree off can make a big difference, especially if you start doing the things consistently that aren't the things you should be doing, right? So yes, I am still going through those seasons where I don't like going to the gym because I'd rather be doing, watching Grey's Anatomy with my husband. I would love that. Or I just want to mindlessly scroll on social media. I can't remember the last time I would do that. It doesn't happen very much anymore, right? There are so many things that I would rather do than, quite honestly, go to the gym. But I do it now because I want to set myself up for that smooth transition, perimenopause and menopause, postmenopause. I want to proactively avoid the muscle loss and fat gain that comes with declining estrogen. We know that in the 10 years leading up to menopause, you start losing your muscle mass very quickly. The 3 to 4 years prior to going 1 full year without a period, we see a decline in muscle mass up to 10% of your muscle mass. We see an increase in your fat mass and an increase in your weight, an increase in your body fat percentage, which then continues for 3 to 4 years post menopause. I don't want that. And I'm sure you don't either. And it's a lot harder to put on the muscle mass and lose the fat once you start going through that season. So it's super important to start setting yourself up for success now. Do not wait until you're struggling and you're like, oh, that'll never be me. Oh, that'll never be me. How many of you said that to yourselves? Right? So spread this message with everyone. You need to be proactive. But also you need to realize that now it's going to take a lot more to course correct because you were going, let's say you want to be going up and down, like 90 degrees, right? But you actually went, let's say 70 degrees. And now time has just moved those arrows further and further apart. You have a huge difference to make up for now versus if you would have done it here, much less effort, much less stuff to get those habits done. And now you're just going down the direction and trajectory that you actually want, right? So I'm not going to wait until I'm struggling to start making those changes. I'm going to do it now so I don't have to deal with those struggles. I am trading time and money now to avoid being forced to trade time and money later for that poor physical health and that poor mental health. And yes, it's uncomfortable. I'm not motivated all the time. I want to put in enough effort in the areas that are actually going to get me those results because inherently I am lazy. Okay? I can practice swinging a golf club all I want, and trying to do that more efficiently, and that puts in a lot of effort. But is that going to help me with a tennis swing? No. So you have to make sure that the effort you're putting in is the right kind of effort. I cannot stress this enough. It sounds crazy and like a dumb analogy, but that's literally what you guys have all been doing for your entire life, and you're still trying to do that. So you can do all the YouTube videos that you perceive are good workouts and that you're putting in a lot of effort because they make you sweaty, but you can get absolutely nowhere on your health and fitness journey because that is not effort placed in the right position, in the right place, okay? So you need to find out what does work. You need to understand why it works. And then you must learn how to do the things. This is why we focus so much on teaching in our coaching programs and why otherwise it never sticks. If you don't understand how to fish, and while you're fishing, you will starve, right? Once I'm gone, you're starving. So you need to learn and understand and grow and understand the why and the how, because otherwise you will never keep doing it. Do you think elite athletes would sprint if they didn't think that it was going to get them to where they wanted to be? No. Why would they sprint, which is not a very enjoyable thing for like most people, if they didn't think it was going to get them closer to where they wanted to be? Right? It's the same thing. So look at elite athletes. They make a bunch of money, right? A bunch. And then they go broke, right? Look at all these NFL stars and NBA stars, right? How can they make so much money and then go broke? Well, nobody taught them what to do and why with their finances. They don't think about what happens after this next stage, right? So they can maintain the lifestyle that they want. Stop doing this to yourself with your darn health. You don't think about what's going to happen after this, how to maintain the lifestyle that you want, the results that you want. You're just focused on like getting someplace now, and you screw yourself over in the end. So how are we going to fix this? How do you do this? Well, I will tell you how I do this for myself in multiple areas of my life. And I do this for literally everything, and I do it often. First, I sit down and figure out, what do I actually want? What do I want? What do I want? And I write out that exact thing. Like, what do I actually want? I write out my ideal day. I write out what it looks like in 10 years and like realistically what it looks like in 5 years and right now. Okay, we work back. So like, what is my ideal day? It's pretty close to what I'm doing right now, which is awesome. How did I get there? By writing it down. I wake up, I cuddle my son, we read our devotional for the day, I pray with him, then he like naps a little bit, I listen to some worship music, then I post my social media, then I get ready and listen to more podcasting and educational stuff while I'm getting ready. I have breakfast with my family, and I have my coffee afterwards, right? Then I am doing my work, whether I'm writing, whether I'm podcasting, whether I'm working with clients, whatever that might be, I am working for a good chunk of my day. Then I'm having my lunch, then I'm working a bit, and then I'm spending time with my family. I work out 3 days a week. I play volleyball once a week. I travel like once a month for work, whether it's going to conferences or attending seminars or whatever it might be, speaking at events. But I got there by writing it down. And then, okay, this is what I want. How do I get there? Right? So I look at like my career, then I talk about what your goals are in different aspects of your life, because all this is going to affect your health, right? Because if you're not happy in career, physical health, spiritual health, relationships, like if one of those is like really crappy, the other ones will fall apart too. And if they're all doing really well, they're just going to like feed into each other. So career-wise, I am going to be an author. I am growing the podcast. I am speaking at more events. And I want to be able to pay my team more. So we're working on different ways to like increase their pay and things like that, because I want to give back to them, because they give back so much to the business. They give back so much to our clients, and I have amazing coaches and I want them to stay. I want them to feel valued, right? The next thing is like my physical health, my exercise routine, 2 to 3 days a week, no matter what. Nutrition, I am now tracking because I have specific goals that I'm trying to achieve by putting on muscle mass. I'm making sure I'm having breakfast every day, lunch, dinner, I have my bedtime snack. Like I'm prioritizing these things and they're measurable. Like, is this actually happening and am I doing it? Spirituality, church on Sundays, daily devotional, working on seeking out communities that are more faith-based for me. So, finding different business groups and things like that who are faith-based. That's important to me. And then relationships, I'm making sure that I'm messaging my very short, close list of friends at least once a month to check in, to nurture those relationships, because that's important. And then I have goals for my family, for my husband, right? Like we have all these goals, but if you don't write them down, like you don't know what you're working towards realistically. And then you don't know how to get there. Okay, so now that I have all those goals, I find people who have the answers to what I want. Why the heck would I ever try to figure it out on my own when there are already people out there who have already figured it out and I can learn from their mistakes. It helps me get there way faster, right? So I learn from their wins, their triumphs, their losses, but I have to also be willing to do the work, right? I have to actually listen. I have to actually learn from them. I can't just tune in and pay someone and then not make changes and get results, right? So I have lots of people that I've been learning from, right? Careers. I hire mentors who are successful in business, who value their time with their family, their faith, and actually give a crap about people. If they don't have those 4 things, I don't want to work with them. Those are values that I have that I want to maintain. And so I seek out people who have those same values, who are a level up from me so I can learn with them. And you naturally start rising to the level of those people because you realize what's not acceptable for them. Like what their standards are. And that naturally elevates your standards as well, right? I want to continue to grow vitality and impact as many women in the world as I possibly can by growing the podcast. Like same with like my nutrition coaches. If they don't value those same things, like I'm not going to do that. If they just try to give me a meal plan to follow without teaching me anything, if they are not explaining anything, if it's really restrictive, like I don't want them because that doesn't align with the values that I have for my life, right? I want to learn so I can do this on my own one day, right? I started with a coach just like many other people have, right? And then if there's someone who eats differently than my family and they never go out to eat or they never treat themselves, they're really restrictive, I'm not even going to follow them on social media, right? I'm not going to work with them because why would I try to achieve something in a way that I don't want to live? I'm going to try and find someone who's achieved what I want to achieve in a way that is actually like alignment with my values, right? With my personality. Relationships, they don't have to do what I'm doing, but they have to support it, right? The people that I surround myself with, they have to support what I'm doing. They don't have to not drink alcohol like I do, right? I very rarely drink alcohol. They don't have to eat the same way I do, right? They can have all the processed junk food that they want. That's fine. I still have that sometimes, but it's not something I indulge in all of the time. I'm not the kind of person that's going to be going to McDonald's all the time, right? And that's fine. They don't have to have they don't have to eat the same way. They don't have to have the same faith as me. They don't have to, go to the gym like I do, but they have to respect me and what I am doing. And if they do not support my growth in faith and entrepreneurship and health and fitness and they always end up like living in the past, they're always gossiping, I'm going to spend a lot less time with them because again, you end up rising to the level of standards of the people you surround yourself with. Are the people that you're hanging out with, are they the ones that I want to be more like? Yes or no? If the answer is no, that's a really big red flag. You need to find people that are doing the things you want to do, right? I want to be more like them, so therefore I want to hang out with them, right? This is super important. So I am always looking for new circles of people who are achieving the things that I want, right? I'm looking for people who are healthy. I'm looking for people who are passionate about helping others, who have faith, right? Like I'm only going to grow in those areas if I surround myself with people who are also growing in those areas or are higher up than me. Right? And this doesn't mean you have to leave people behind necessarily, right? You can still hang out with them, and it might like challenge them to raise their standards too, right? But you have to realize how people around you are impacting your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, how you feel, how you think, how you eat, what you consume, what you think about later. All of those things matter, right? And then education. I am always, always, always seeking out people who know more, who can help me learn more, help me find more resources, who can make me better so I can make others better. That's the goal, right? So for a lot of people, you got to find a new circle. Assess where you're at and then find a new circle, which is so hard, right? Because if you're doing all the things above where you're like assessing all those things and you're like trying to find people who have the same values as you and are leveling you up, have higher standards, are committed to growing, a lot of the time it brings you into new circles of people, right? Because let's face it, you do become the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So here are some questions to ask yourself about your current circle of friends or community or who you're surrounded with. Number 1, do they support your dreams and efforts to reaching those goals that you have in place for yourself? Yes or no? Do they make comments about, oh, you aren't drinking alcohol, you're so boring? Or do they genuinely respect your choices? Yes or no? Do they value what you value? Are they trying to steer you off ship? Do they value what you value or what you want to value? Like, are they, again, respectful of that? Do you feel energized after hanging out with them, or do you feel drained? You all know them, right? Like the people that you leave a conversation with and you're like, oh, that was a lot, right? Versus like, that was so cup filling. That was so great. I feel energized. I feel good. I feel happy. Very, very different, right? What are the things that they talk about? Right? If you have people that are constantly gossiping and living in the past and things like that, like for me, I don't do well with small talk. This is why my circle is so small. I want to talk about real stuff. Tell me about your trauma. This is why I love this job. People open up to me and I love it. I want to talk about the real stuff, your real struggles. I want to teach you. I want to support you. I want to help you learn. I want to learn from you, right? I don't want to know about like the weather or like, talk about so-and-so from however many years ago. Like, I don't care about that. Doesn't provide any value, right? And then are they growing? Are they actively trying to improve themselves, right? Realistically, you want to be a small fish in a big pond, okay? I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I don't want to be the healthiest person in the room. I don't want to be the strongest person in the room. I want to be surrounded by people who are doing bigger things, who are growing, who are improving, who are dreaming huge dreams that like I never even thought were like, why dream that big? Because it's not even possible. Yes, it is, right? I want to be surrounded by that enthusiasm, that excitement, that drive, that motivation, the health, the people who value those things, right? And use them as inspiration. Because before I used to be in rooms like that and I'd be so intimidated being the small fish, like I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not smart enough. I'm not experienced enough. You know what? Some of those things might be true. But then you know how you improve? You'll learn from those people instead of feeling intimidated. You go, okay, I'm not there yet. Sweet. I know I can get there because they did. They know how to get there. Maybe if I ask them some questions, I can figure out how to get there. That's exciting. View it as an opportunity, right? You never want to be the big fish in a small pond. You want to be the small fish in like a huge ocean. Be around people who are doing bigger, better things, right? And here's the big thing. I heard this quote, I can't remember where it was, but the people who are at the top always want to see you win, right? They want to see you win on your journey. If they're further ahead, they want to see you do it too. No one who actually values their health is ever going to give you a hard time for trying to improve yours. Someone who is higher up in business and career is never going to give you a hard time for wanting to make more money, for wanting to grow in a company, for wanting to start your own business. They will never look down on you and like discourage you. They will encourage you, right? They will be cheering you on. Like someone who is a recovered alcoholic and a sponsor, they are excited and cheering you on to work through your alcoholism. Someone who has not dealt with that, who doesn't want to get better, who doesn't realize they have a problem. They're not there yet, right? They're struggling. They're dealing with their things. They're usually not cheering you on, right? It's the people above who are going to pull you up. It's not the people below you who are going to push you up. That's not how this works. So the people who are going to give you the hardest time are the people who are unhappy with themselves. Right? The people who give you a hard time are unhappy with themselves, not you. This has nothing to do with you. This has everything to do with them. They are upset that they are not willing to trade leisure for their goals like you are. Let that sit in. If people are giving you a hard time on your health and fitness journey, it is because they are not willing to do what you are willing to do and prioritize to get to where you want to be. And there's a difference between like, oh, I don't think you should be eating that low calorie because yes, I agree, right? But this is like, oh, you're so boring. Oh, you never drink anymore, right? Like those are the comments that you want to watch for. And as you grow in your health, your fitness, your career, your relationships, whatever area it is that you might be wanting to, you will learn that what is acceptable behaviors and thought patterns for others is no longer the standard that you were okay with living. So are you okay with where you are right now? Your mental health, your physical health, your fitness, your thoughts and behaviors, the way you talk to yourself. Look at the people around you. Are they supporting that or are they holding you down? Or are you the one that's pulling people back and therefore yourself? Are you the one making those comments? So here are some actionable steps for you. I want you to write out your ideal day and then in 10 years and in 20 years, what does that look like? What do you want? What do you really want? And now write out your goals for career, health, spirituality, and relationships in those categories for those to help you reach those goals, right? What are those goals that you need to achieve? Find the people or the groups who have the answers to what you want so you can skip mistakes, you can learn faster and get to your end goal faster. That does not mean that the total time to your goal will be quick, right? This is a journey. Just because you found us doesn't mean you're going to lose 30 pounds tomorrow. It's going to take a couple years probably, right? A year or two to do this right. But it means that it will be much faster than doing this on your own. I want to reiterate that. Find people or groups who have the answers to what you want so you can skip mistakes, you can learn faster, and get to your goal quicker. This does not mean that total time to your goal will be fast. It's just faster than trying to figure it out on your own. And just make sure that your values align with theirs and vice versa. Review your current circle and how you can find a new one. And remember that effort does not mean that you will get results. Effort applied on the right area at the right time with consistency over time is what gives you results. That is the only way. The only way. So now stop trying and I want you to start doing. I give you actionable steps in literally every single freaking podcast I have ever put out. I tell you to message me and that we will help you. I tell you to join the Facebook community to get all the resources. You comment for the resources. Do you actually read them and apply them? I tell you, I will help you figure out how much to eat, right? And give you advice on your health journey. I send you everything that you need, yet are you doing the things and learning? Yes or no? Are you asking questions or do you just try for a couple weeks and then stop because you didn't lose any weight yet? You need to accept that the solution is likely not going to be what you want. It is likely not going to be enjoyable all of the time. It will be different than what you've done in the past. And it's going to take some trading of time and effort to do those things because it isn't going to happen on accident because otherwise it would have already. It takes consistency and time and the ability to open up your mind, to learn and push yourself outside your comfort zone and actually do the damn thing. Okay? So stop avoiding it because otherwise you will never get there. So if you need help figuring out where do I have to apply effort in my life to finally achieve the results that I want, contact us. Book a free consultation call. We will help you figure that out. Okay? No questions asked. But you have to realize that you cannot skip steps. You have to be consistent. And it's going to take time. Okay? This isn't like a quick fix and then you can go back to what you're doing right now. That won't work. That won't stick. So stop avoiding it. Start taking action on what you've been learning. Do the damn thing. and book a call, and we will help you figure it out. No questions asked. I love you so much, but y'all needed this talk. Bye.